Hey everybody, I'm back with another gorgeous girl spread in my Traveler's Notebook insert. I'm back with this one now. This one is called Dear Alice, which I loved as soon as I saw it. It is purple, it has teddy bears, it is so like take me away to another place. She's like all dreamy, and I don't know, I really love the stamp, but as you can see, I've never used it. It has been in my collection for a year untouched. Such a shame. So it is now time to pull it out and do something with it. So as usual, I'm just stamping it out on some Nina Solar White card, and I'm using archival black ink because I am about to use watercolors, and you don't want that to run. So put it on my stamp positioner, imprint it, do another one, another ink up, and print it again, and that is done. It's as easy as that. I love it. Now I do go on and do the other elements, but I'll just skip through that because kind of like the boring part. Alright, so pulling out my Prima watercolors. This is the classic set. Has a lot of the main colors, for just that quick one palette that you might need. So I did decide to stay with the same colors that the stamp originally came in. But as you will soon see, it kind of doesn't turn the same. I think the purple in the stamp, on this stamp, is like a really like pale violet, and mine's quite like vibrant purple. But I mean, that doesn't matter. It still looks good. It's never going to look the same, I think. So never worry that you're like copying someone's work, because your work will never look the same as other people. You use different colors, you use different shades, and so I'm really fascinated by the color purple, especially in hair. Like, so unnatural, so or so awesome, I'm not sure. So I love the purple in the hair. I also I think I've already done the dress in gray, and it's so light. Like, I thought as I was putting it on, I thought that it was gonna look so dark, but after it dried, it looked so light. Same with this teddy bear. Like, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, did I really make the teddy bear that vibrant and that brown? But as with watercolors, they go on quite vibrant, and when they dry, they really look quite nice and pale. So don't let this scare you. Teddy actually looks good in the end. So just mixing up the colors here, a little bit of gold, and yeah, so I do go back in and I add a little bit of gray, and then I also add a little bit of purple in the dress, and I go in with just my normal black ink pen, and just to differentiate between the hairlines and the strands in the hair and the dress. And I'm really into this, adding more dark value into your artwork. So this was just a little break that we took because I ran out of space on my camera, and so I was just moving some stuff onto my computer, and Kitty was like, love me. And I tried to move him, and he's like, not ready. So we had a little bit of cuddles, and I think he's happy because then he let me carry him now. Alright, so on to my insert. Just to make these pages a little bit stronger, I'm adding a coat of gesso with a large flat brush, and that's kind of the best thing. I'm going to do that from now on. So let that dry, and then okay, so grab my Diane Reevely sticks, and I am going to attempt to do this background, so that kind of mottled look with the print. I thought it was nice and grungy, and I went, yeah, you know, let's see if, I don't know how they did that, but let's see if I can do it myself. So grab the purple from this palette, and concentrating more on the bottom than the top, And as you see here, tiny little bit of water really brings that color out. It is so beautifully vibrant. I love it. And like I said, the violet in the background on the stamp was really muted, and this was really vibrant, but that's okay, you know, like I'm okay with that. So I'm just drying it off now, and as it dries off, you can see the strokes from the brush and the gesso, and I think that that adds to my background. Now, just want to show you what I did here. So I flicked some water on it, and as you can see, the color comes right off. So the Diane Reilly scribble sticks, they reactivate with water. So just so you know, the Tim's crayons, they don't. Once you've got your layer down, you can't move the color back out. So very important to know, especially with trying to achieve whatever you want to achieve. So here I'm just trying to create the gray up on top. So gray on top, purple at the bottom, and I'm trying to get like a graded look here, adding more and then bringing it down. You can really see the brush strokes of the gesso. I like it for this background because that's what I was trying to achieve, but sometimes I like a really smooth background, and so the brush strokes don't scare me, I should say. This is the part of art, always in a project, there's always a part where you have an ugly phase. I'm thinking, what am I doing? This just looks like a hot mess. So this is the ugly stage of my project. I think that it's like, oh, you know, like, what am I doing? But I am going for a grungy look, and bear with me because it all does come together, I promise. I'm adding a little bit of black around the outside just to frame the work. I try to work it in, but it looks too smooth. It looks too, I didn't like it, so I had to add a little bit more a little later on. It looked too blended and not didn't stand out as much. So I grabbed my charcoal ink stamp, and because the background is a gray color, you can't see anything here. It makes no difference. So out with the gray, in with the black, and this looks so nice here. So I sometimes don't like using black. It just looks too crisp in the background, but here it looks great. It really comes out, it really stands out. I really like it. So that does the job there. Now, just to show you here, so I've got them both side by side. The grungy look, you know, that gesso that went on top, that was great. That's exactly what was needed to get that effect. As you can see, the one on the right is really light, and mine is really vibrant. I'm now going to do the comparison of the two girls side by side. So this is the back of the stamp, really nice. And then here's mine that I colored in. Just look how different it is. I thought I made that dress really dark, and after it dried, it looked really light. Same with the teddy bear. I mean, he doesn't look the same as the other teddy bear, but you know, I thought it went on really dark, but it didn't. So it looks good. So here are the elements which I you know, stamped and colored and cut off camera just to save a little bit of time. And I'm now thinking, how am I going to do this? What is the story trying to say? What is this layout? Like, what's going on? So I go into my stash and I grab some things. So I'm thinking Alice. It's called Dear Alice. So she is like maybe in Wonderland. Maybe she's taken a mushroom and she's gone really small. So she's walking out amongst the vines and the mushrooms. That's why she is almost as tall as the mushroom. I don't know. I thought this looked good, so I went with it. So I decide to have her or some vines behind her on the page on the right, and I decided to have the vines falling down on the page on the left. So I stamped it out. That was my train of thought anyway. So I stamped it out to create that kind of scene. I'm now using, excuse me, I'm now using, I think that's gel medium there with my palette knife, and I'm just sticking it on. And I thought, at first I wanted to cut off the feet at the bottom of the teddy bear, but then if I did that I would have cut out the saucer, and I thought the saucer was a charming little detail, so I lifted it up a little bit higher, but I kind of didn't like how it seemed to like be floating in the page a little bit, like not grounded. So it was either chop off the feet or let it float, and I didn't want to chop off the feet and the cup, so I just let it float for a moment, and I do deal with that a little bit later. And this day, I'm not sure what's wrong with my cat. He was in my face the whole time. I think he was just happy that I was home this day, so I almost got kitty nose prints in my gel medium, so I had to save my work. So yeah, so that's now on the right hand side, that's down, and I've dried that. Now you can hardly see these vines that I printed down, so I decided to color them in. I started off coloring them purple, and I didn't like that, and I thought, can I get away with coloring it green, like green and purple? Will that look good? And I thought, you know what, I will. I'll just do it and I'll see how it looks. And I like the green, like I think it just adds enough of an interest, and I thought purple on purple was too monotone. And so yeah, I decided to go with the green, did it on the right hand side, looked good, continued on with the left side. So then I went ahead and I stamped my big mushroom, and then I grabbed this Prima water resist pen, and it's actually a fine line applicator, and I just added those resist dots on top of the white, where the white spots are, so that they can be like white when I pull them off against the red. But that doesn't really work. You'll see a little bit later on, because it's already purple in the background. I should have done it at the very beginning. I should have stamped that stamp at the very beginning, but oh well. I do rectify it a little bit later on. So yeah, just with my Prima watercolors again, I go in there and I add like the most vibrant red you can find on there to the very tops, and then I add a little bit of silver underneath, and I then go back in and add a little bit of brown and a little bit of gray and a little bit of black, just to add the shade, the shading from underneath the mushroom caps. And I spent a lot of time doing this, and it's just so interesting how I put a lot of detail in it, and then you'll see in a moment when it's dry, I'll have to come back to it a couple of times to add the to make it look like, to make it stand out from the background, because I don't know, watercolors, yeah, they deceive me. So yeah, so here we go. We're just about to move on to the next stage here. So I'm just drying it, and look, it's, yeah, so we're back on, and it just looks really like not so vibrant. So strange. So anyway, so moving now into the formation of the little cards. I love this. This was kind of my favorite part. So just putting, I don't know, putting all the last bits together, taking out the gel medium and adding the cards in that formation. And then I did change that left page just a little. I did it so that it was one, you know, the ace 1 and then 2 and then 3 behind the bear. I thought that seemed a bit more logical than 1 3 3. I love that purple bear. He's my favorite. I don't know why. So at this stage, I'm thinking, we're done. I'm done. This is so cool. I love this. Oh yeah, that's right. And then I go back and just add another, darken the mushroom just a little bit more, just to make it pop or stand out from the background. But at this stage, I'm thinking, yeah, I think that everything's down, and I like how everything looks. I'm so finicky, and when I get into like coloring, I can spend all day on such adding little details here and there. So now I guess I'm just adding the vines. The vein marks on the leaves. Alright, so now I am just rubbing off that resist pen. And it just comes off like in gluey little bits without tearing your page. And as I said earlier, I did stamp that mushroom onto the purple, and so purple and red looked too close together. So I did grab my Nouveau white crystal drop and I added the dots there, and I just love it. It's so crisp, it's so white, and I think I'm done. This looks so great. I love it. Now, there's only one thing that was really gnawing at me. Above Alice, it looks really empty. And I'm like, what would I put there? Do I need a sentiment? I think it's fine, but it looks so empty, and I left it there for the day. And then that night, I thought, no, you know what? It needs a sentiment. I like looked over on the other page, and that looked like everything looked done. There were no empty bits, and here I felt like this was truly empty. So of course, if you know me, you know I just can't leave things alone. So I grabbed this Pico Irresistible Embellisher, and I'm about to try something that makes me so nervous, even just to watch it. I remember I was so nervous. I thought, I'm not gonna do this right. I'm gonna stuff it. So I get a piece of scratch paper, and I'm just going to practice. Now the thing with this is that as soon as you tip the lid upside down, the liquid just gushes, and you get these droplets. When you start writing, you get a droplet wherever you start, and then so you gotta go really fast. You gotta just go for it. So this practice run looked alright, which gave me the courage to actually go onto my real piece. So here we go. Watch this. Coming in a little bit closer. This is going to either be amazing or it's going to be awful. So I flip it, and I make sure that that dot comes there, and I quickly do this writing. Yay! I did not stuff up. That was so nerve-wracking just watching it. So I think that looks done. I think it's really cute. I really think that it could be taken in so many ways. Like, oh, dear Alice, you just look so gorgeous sitting there. Or it could be like, dear Alice, and you're about to write her a letter and tell her all about your secrets. Like, I just think this looks really sweet, and it really did need that extra sentiment. So I'm glad that I got the courage to go ahead and do it. So I added just a few dots, like dot dot, dear Alice, dot dot dot, I have a lot to tell you. And then I went back to this bottom area here. Remember earlier I said that it just looked like it was floating off the bottom of the page. So I just added like these little scribbles, like to make it look like a pathway at the bottom, so that they were walking along the ground and not floating up in the air. And then, because I just can't seem to leave it alone. I decided to just add a little bit of lines along how the vines came down off the top there, and I think that it really did lift the piece up a lot. Although this was a lot of work, I spent another 15 minutes doing this now, and once I started I couldn't stop because it looked too odd. Like some areas were really well differentiated and others were left pretty gray. So did it on the left hand side and it looked so great, so I thought, you know what, I can't just leave it here. So I then went in on the right hand side behind Alice and just really quickly I just scribbled along the stamped areas, and it looked really, really good. I love it. And then I did start working on the mushroom here, but most of my work was, it was too close to my body and off camera, so I'm just going to skip this part here. But you can see what I've done there. The mushroom looks so great with the black. Really, like, that's what it took to bring out that darker value. And I think this looks done. I really love this. It's really, really, really interesting how, although I did use leaves on the April, the fox layout, and I used leaves here, they just looked like two different pages, and they just looked so different. So yeah, so that is my Dear Alice layout. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm gonna put some photos now so you can see some close-ups. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you pull out your stamps and have a lot of fun. Have a great day, everybody.